welcome back everybody. This is Chad and Eric here again, and we got another concealed carry video for you. If you guys checked out the last three parts, we kind of went into a few scenarios. Basically, we covered some responsibilities that you may want to consider when concealed carry or choosing to carry concealed in a legal manner. We discussed some of the gear and the wardrobe that you might could use to assist you in your concealed carry. We discussed some basic draw drills and just basic pistol drills you can do at the range to kind of get you started into the mentality of carrying concealed and drawing from a concealed position. In today's video, one of the things that we want to kind of bring out there onto the table is we want to run through a few advanced concealed carry drills. Now these are going to be drills that are going to involve you moving. They could involve moving targets. And really what this kind of trains you for is to be prepared for the worst case scenario. And let's face it, the worst case scenario in a concealed carry environment is you having to draw your gun. I mean, that really in itself is a worst case. Having to draw your weapon at all is a worst case type arrangement. The next step in line there is going to be drawing your weapon in a situation where someone else is drawing a weapon. And that's what today's drills are going to kind of gear you towards. Someone else is trying to kill you, and what you want is that your level of training and preparation to be 10 times what theirs is so that you'll survive in a situation like that. Now let's face it, in a concealed carry situation, 90% of people that carry a gun are probably untrained or unprepared to draw it and use it for any circumstance. So that you can use to your advantage. Most average people are going to be unprepared and don't go through the level of training that people like you are. You're watching this video, obviously you're interested in some level of training. You're trying to better yourself as a concealed carry permit holder or as concealed weapons carrier. So, you know, that in itself, you always have to achieve a higher level of training. Always try to better yourself. It doesn't matter how low on the totem pole you are or how high. You can always train for that next little step to make yourself better and better as time goes on.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely not experts by any means when it comes to this kind of thing, but I mean, I've been carrying for about 8 years now, and I've still got a lot to learn. I found that out just doing this little series. I mean, seeing yourself on camera, really brings a lot of things into light that you're doing wrong or could be doing better. So, I mean, anybody can stand to improve.
That's right. Chad's absolutely right. I know, here in recent times, I've watched myself on camera with some of our various gunplay, and it makes you realize a lot of the inconsistencies you have in your draw style, your grip, your trigger squeeze. Using video as a reference is a wonderful way. Even if you don't post it to YouTube, just film yourself shooting. If you have the ability to slow it down with software like we do, you can really see a lot of those inconsistencies in your trigger squeeze, in your sight picture. A lot of those things can come to light just by watching yourself shoot on video.
Oh, yeah.
And it is a humbling experience. I mean, I'm not the best pistol shot in the world. Chad's a good pistol shot, but he didn't start out the best in the world. I mean, looking back at older YouTube videos, this is kind of getting off subject a little bit, but looking back on older YouTube videos made me realize just how crummy of a shot I used to be. And then really, in the big scheme of things, there's a lot of ways that I'm still improving as a shooter. In no way am I ever claiming to be an expert pistol marksman or anything like that. So with those statements being said, we're going to move on to a few drills, and hopefully we can lay these out in a manner that'll be entertaining for you guys, and hopefully that'll make you actually want to try these at home.
Sounds good.
So the blow of the train whistle in the back lets me know that it's time to start filming. All right, one of the first little drills that we're going to talk about here is going to involve drawing, shooting at close range, and backing up as you're shooting. And see, for most of us that shoot on a regular basis, let's say you go to the range, you're shooting paper targets, you're shooting steel, whatever. The thought of that crossing your mind is almost counterproductive in your mind. You're thinking, well, you would never back up. But the ultimate goal in a handgun fight is to get away from the assailant and to lay down some sort of fire to stop them from doing whatever it is that they're doing. Okay, so that's what we're going to practice. Chad will be sweeping his shirt like he did in the previous video and drawing from a concealed position. I'll be drawing straight out of my Black Hawk holster with my shirt swept aside already, just to kind of drive these points home a bit. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Now, when you're drawing at really close range, there's actually a few drills that you can integrate into this. One of them is drawing quickly and shooting from the hip at a very close range. You see, that was premature. I didn't even get him in the silhouette. This is one of those things that it requires practice. It's not easy, okay? If it was easy, everybody could do it effectively. You know, the whole idea is that you want to get a good grip on the gun, swing it out, and deliver the shot. So notice how I'm not pointing the gun. I'm not aiming the gun. All it is to get shots on the target in the fastest amount of time possible from the draw. And as time goes on, you'll get really quick at it. I mean, like I said, we're not experts. I'm not an expert, but it's something that you'll get better at. That was down in the dirt. That's premature. That would have hit at his feet. So now, I'm going to reload my magazine. We're going to try delivering one shot at close range in that manner, and then we're going to back up and deliver a few more. It's a hell of a lot harder than it looks. You would think, you know, being right there at the target that, yeah, you're not going to miss. But if you're premature, you saw a few of my shots hitting the dirt there. It's definitely one of those instances where you have to just really have a smoothness about it. You want to be quick, but you want to be smooth. In certain combat situations, the goal is to close the gap. But in a defensive situation, you want to open the gap. You want to separate yourself from them, all the while laying down fire. The whole point is to get yourself to safety and to stop them from doing whatever it is they're doing that's putting your life in harm's way. So we're going to try the same thing, but this time I'm going to open the gap while keeping them at bay, while putting rounds on target. We're going to try the same thing, but with two hands, and see if we get a little bit more usable range of accuracy and making sure our shots are going where we want. I'm going to try on this other target here. Make sure I'm not going to trip over anything.
Maybe just a cow pie. Good. 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 Definitely a lot harder than it looks. Yep.
What you want to definitely do is practice moving to your left or right as you're drawing and shooting, and what that'll do basically is buy you about a second and a half. Okay, because their brain is going to take at least about that amount of time in order to retrack you and get on you. Okay, so let's try that. I'm going to draw. As I'm drawing, I'm going to use two hands, get on target, and I'm going to move to my left. It doesn't even have to be that drastic of a step, even if it's just 3 or 4 feet. Sometimes that can be enough to buy you a little bit of time. All right, you ready?
Ready when you are.
I know the gong isn't exactly at chest height, but you'll get the concept just the same. The main thing we're trying to push home with this is just get used to doing a little bit of moving while you're shooting when it comes to practicing your draw, because that little bit of practice can be what saves your life, even if it just buys you a couple of seconds. If you happen to snag up on a draw, or if your shirt gets hung, I mean, there's any amount of possibilities that can present themselves in a situation. The main thing to remember is that Murphy's Law, if it can go wrong, it will. And that's how you have to train.
You know, you're not going to be able to practice this kind of thing at an indoor range, obviously. You're not going to be able to go across the lanes, you know, into the next guy's stall. But if you ever have the opportunity to shoot at an outdoor range, you know, or even in like private property, if you know anybody who you can, you know, shoot over their property, by all means, take advantage of it. You know, take advantage of all the time you have to be able to do things like this. You know, it'll definitely help you out in the future.
Excellent. That's good. So you move back and to the left, so that's fine. You can integrate all of those different options into your training. You're going to try to move to your right this time?
Yeah, I'm just going to move that way.
Okay. Excellent.
You know, kind of moving out of the way, but also creating distance between you and the threat. So we've shown you a few of these techniques with basically a single target, but now since we've got two set up, we're going to actually transition between two targets. Now this is a really bad scenario. You know, you got two guys, you know, coming at you or whatever, or threatening your life, and you want to be able to put number one down, and you got to put number two down as well, and in a quick succession. You know, that way, I mean, especially if these guys have like knives or whatever, they're coming after you at this close of a distance. I mean, somebody's going to get a knife in you pretty quick, you know, from 4 or 5 feet away. So, you know, that's where you want to close that, or actually open that gap up. You know, put a couple in this one, put a couple in this one.
Excellent.
A lot harder than it looks.
Okay, you're going to have to use your imagination a little bit, but this is supposed to be a wall. All right, this represents a wall. In these talking points, I want to discuss a little bit about shooting from behind cover, or basically silhouetting yourself from behind cover in the most efficient manner where you can get the rounds on target. And we also want to discuss the difference between concealment and cover, because they are two totally different concepts. Concealment is where you're hidden from view, but if someone were to see you, they can still shoot you. An excellent example is a deer blind. All right, you're inside of a deer blind. Now, obviously, yes, you're hidden, but if someone knew you were in there, it would offer no protection from a bullet hitting you. Cover is pretty much along the same lines. Cover can be in the form of concealment, but cover is actually going to provide protection from a bullet hitting you. So this wall is supposed to represent cover, and what we're going to do is we're going to discuss pieing, and we're going to discuss moving in and out of cover and acquiring targets. I mean, this is just real basic stuff. It's not all that advanced, but for the average person, this is probably a level of training that most people never consider, just because, you know, either the type of arrangements where they're not able to get to an outdoor range, or they don't have a good place to go that has this type of stuff available to them, or their indoor range doesn't allow it, or even their outdoor range doesn't allow it. I know there's certain areas where an outdoor range, even if it's a nice setup, they may not allow drawing and shooting of any form, moving or not. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about pieing corners. Now, this type of stuff basically comes right out of the CQB handbook for the U.S. military. Okay, what pieing is where you leave your body concealed behind the cover, and you present the weapon sights as basically the weapon pies the corner. That way, if you see a threat, you can shoot it immediately with a minimal amount of exposure of your body from behind the cover. All right, I'm going to demonstrate that in just a moment. I'm going to pretend that the steel plate is an assailant, and then the two silhouettes are an assailant. Obviously, we're going to pretend this is a solid wall. Okay, this particular scenario, I will admit, is probably a little bit more on the offensive side than it is the defensive. I mean, obviously, as a concealed carry permit holder, concealed carry type person, you're not looking to find a threat. You're looking to get away from a threat or neutralize a threat that's in your immediate area. But I want to discuss this because it is important. I mean, especially with the Aurora, Colorado shootings and everything, this type of concept I'm about to demonstrate could have been a handy thing provided the right situation, the right scenario presented itself. Again, the thing you have to remember about concealed carry is that you never know what's going to happen. So you have to be prepared for every scenario, no matter how outlandish they may seem. So what we're going to do, the point of pieing a corner, you don't do this right on the corner, because then what's going to happen? Someone's going to reach out and grab the gun and take it out of your hand, or they're going to try to disarm you. When you're pieing a corner, you always back off a considerable amount of distance from the corner, present the weapon, point it at the corner. You ready? I'm going to shoot. And then what you do, without presenting as much of your silhouette as possible. You're going to slowly come around the corner. All right, there's one threat. I'm going to keep high in the corner while keeping the sights of the weapon trained to the exterior of the wall. Come on around. And that's pie in a corner. Real easy. But you do not want to be directly on the corner, because you don't want them snatching the gun from you, knocking it out of your hand, or whatever. You always back off the corner. That way, if they do want to try to come around the corner and do something stupid, then you can rapid fire right into them. Same principles for pie in a corner also apply to rifles. No different. The muzzle is your pivot point. Where you can feasibly shoot is your pivot point. It's a handy skill to practice. It really helps. One more. All right, we're having to contend with a few adverse conditions. We've got a little rain falling, but that's not going to keep us from training, because like they say in the military, if it ain't raining, we ain't training. So we were talking about pie in corners, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to say, all right, let's say you want to fight your way to cover, or you want to get to cover. So let's say you're exposed and you have to engage the threat and fight your way to cover, and then pie your way from cover to investigate or whatever. I mean, basically shooting, moving to cover, then coming from behind cover and shooting. So same concept. Let's try again. I like those nice muddy splashes you get from the jackets. Some people are like, "It's raining, I don't want to go to the range." Not us. I mean, you have to be hardcore. You got to spend the time and make your training count at all times. So I hope that you gleaned some knowledge from this video. Chad is going to close by doing basically the same thing that I just tried. I'm going to do it one more time. Going to shoot her way to cover, and then basically treat this as a barrier. This is a solid wall, of course. And this is just great training. Take it seriously. You know, take your time, do it right. Make sure when you're drawing, you're getting a good solid grip on the gun. That's very important, is to establish a good, consistent grip on the firearm when you draw it. So let me try one more time, and I'll hand things over to Chad. Excellent.
Well, hopefully you guys gleaned a little bit of knowledge from this little scenario here. We did a lot of different things today, a lot of things that I'm actually new to. So, I'm definitely learning things as I go as well, just like anybody else. But main thing is just get out and shoot. Even if you can't practice at a place like this, or your local range especially doesn't allow, drawing, point and shoot, that kind of thing. Just get out and put some rounds down range. You can always kind of practice scenarios like this at home. They do make training guns, like the blue guns that you see. Either that or just separate your ammo from your gun and, practice, some of these type of drills, like pie in the corners in your home. That's a good thing to look at too, is defensive scenarios in your home. You definitely want to think about, like, engagement areas and whatnot, where would be the best place for you to actually defend yourself, and like have everyone come into a certain room where you can defend that room. You have a good area in the house that is well protected, that kind of thing. That's a totally different subject in itself, but basically just get out and shoot more than anything else. So get off the couch, get a gun, go to the range and shoot.